Ladies and gentlemen, this is another super quick down and dirty tutorial on how to trace images that you find on the internet. This is mostly just for like graphic images. This isn't photos, which takes a little bit more refinement to do those. This is just those quick little easy graphics that you find somewhere, like a illustration of a dog, or in this case it's going to be an illustration of a fruit. I'm going to be making some cute little kitchen towels. So Silhouette needs to have certain file types in order to convert them into cut files. That needs at the minimum an SVG. If you try to import a PNG or a JPEG, it does not know where to put the cut lines, and so you need to actually trace any JPEGs that you bring in. So I found a little pair online just by Googling that I like, and I just want to trace the pair image. So here I am opening up the file. I just saved it to my hard drive, and this is the little picture of the pear, and I want to put a pear on my towel. So right now, Silhouette can't tell what to put a cut line on. So if I were to send it to the printer, it says I don't know where to cut. Even if I were to highlight it and hit cut, it says, okay, I'll cut around the outside of that image. It does not know what part of the JPEG file I want it to cut. So in order to create cut lines, I have to trace it. So I come over here onto the right-hand side, and there's kind of almost a butterfly icon, and it's a trace box. And so the first step you do after you open up your file that you want to trace, make sure high contrast pictures trace better, meaning if it's just black and white, it is easier for the software to differentiate between what's a line and what's not a line. So high contrast is best. So we're going to hit select trace area. So it asks you to tell it where do you want to trace. So I click and drag over the top of the image. And so what it does is the software gives it its best guess as to what you want to trace. So it will fill in the dark area, the area of high contrast. So in this case it said, I think this is a black line you want me to trace and cut out. You can adjust or refine that line with the settings over here. If you're happy with it and you say, yeah, I like that trace line, then you can leave it right there. This threshold is what I use to help refine the line. And the threshold essentially says pick up stuff that is on the spectrum of black-white. So this one says this is my basic at about 45%. I'm going to differentiate between black and white. And with the threshold it says I want you to maybe increase what you're willing to highlight. And so as I draw this up from 45% to 55%, you'll actually see my yellow line get a little bit thicker as it starts to include more of the spectrum. If you go too far, then it gets ugly. But I don't want it to do that, so I'm going to dial it down. I think I liked about 50%. That looks good for what I need it to do. Well, maybe about 55. So once you're satisfied with what portion of the image it's tracing, all you have to do is go down here and hit the trace button. There's kind of two options. I've never actually used trace and detach because I haven't had to. You can do trace outer edge, and essentially that would just cut out give you an outside edge trace. If you hit trace, just a single trace, you can see the little icon will tell you what it's going to do. It's going to trace the inside of the line, and it's going to trace the outside of the line. This is my preferred method because then I can take this and move on to the next step, which is actually coloring in the image. So all you have to do is hit trace. It's now traced the item. So if you click on the image in the background, you move it to the side, I'll get it off my mat, you'll see the image has been traced. One way to verify that is you highlight the item. I'm going to go over here to fill panel, and I'm going to fill black, and now I'm going to show you this is what it's traced out. So if that's all you wanted, you could, excuse me, sorry about that, you could go over here to send, and now it has a cut line attached to all of that. But please keep in mind it's going to cut on both sides of that line. That means you're going to get a black skinny line cut out of paper or vinyl, whatever material you're putting in there. Okay, so it will cut inside and outside. So that's a super quick way to do the trace feature, trace function. There you go, the trace function. If you wanted to color that, you could do a real quick color on it, or you just cut it out like I said here. You can make it larger by clicking on one of the handles, holding down Shift and dragging will keep the proportions the same. So you can increase the size, decrease the size, whatever you'd like to do. If you are looking to color it, you're going to start, actually, you know what, we'll just do a separate video that says if you want to color this basic shape, I'll show you how to do it in the next video. Okay, so that's it for how do you use the trace feature on Silhouette Studios. Thanks. Bye.